Ancient Sumerian is considered a split ergative language. So what does that mean? What is the ergative case? So ergativity is when the intransitive subject is marked in the same manner as the transitive object. And so then what is a transitive verb? So very simply, the difference between a transitive and an intransitive verb is the direct object. A transitive verb has a direct object, an intransitive verb does not. For example, take this sentence. Inanna slaughtered. Now, if I were to stop that sentence there, it doesn't make any sense, does it? So that's how you know what a transitive verb is. A transitive verb needs a direct object. So what did Inanna slaughter? Inanna slaughtered the unfaithful. The unfaithful would be the object. And a quick example of an intransitive verb, carrying on from that one. So let's say the unfaithful fled. So that sentence can end there and it makes sense. That's what an intransitive verb is. All right, so back to ergativity. If English was an ergative language, picture how Yoda speaks. It would sound very similar to that. The king temple him built. So it marks the subject of a transitive verb with a transitive absolutive alignment. And I may as well demonstrate the whole translation process properly here. So if we were to see these signs, first of all, we would transcribe it like this. This step is just changing the phonetics into a system that we can understand. We're changing it from Sumerian cuneiform into the Roman alphabet or the Latin alphabet. In the next step, we are going to normalize it. This is also called transliteration. And this is the step where I start to make a little bit more sense out of all of the constituent parts. So I'm getting rid of any auslaut's, getting rid of the homophone numbers, and adding in the absolutive case marker with the zeromorph sign, as you can see here. And I'll explain that a little bit more after the next step. And so the next step is identifying everything in English, including the case markers. So now at this point, most people would do a full translation after this step, but I like to add in one more step before I do a full translation. So I like to add in a direct translation before the full translation. So my direct translation would be this. And then finally, I would do a full translation. And as you can see at the bottom one, it doesn't change sometimes with small sentences like this. Okay, so that's how you would best and accurately translate a Sumerian phrase, in my opinion. But let's now go over it quickly, starting with the ergative absolutive alignment that we was originally talking about. So with the transitive verb, the subject is always marked with the ergative case marker, that being A right here. Here's the sign, here's the transliteration, here I've marked it the ergative, and that would be saying that the man, because it's attached to man, is the subject of this transitive verb that follows. And so the next sign, sang, means head. This is the direct object, and so we've marked it with the zeromorph, and we know that this specific sign is the subject of this transitive verb, because Sumerian is a subject, object, verb, word order. So the object is always going to be directly next to, in the sequence, the subject. So at this point, we know that the man is doing something to the head because the object is the receiver of the action, the receiver of the verb. And the verb is saying he raised. I'm not going to go into this too much because I don't want to overload the information, but this is the ventive, this is the third singular, and this is the verbal root, meaning to raise, and altogether it's saying he raised. So it's the man raised the head. And obviously intransitive sentences don't have objects. So here we just mark the subject with the absolutive zeromorph. And we do this because the sign for man, lu2, isn't attached to anything. So we know to put the zeromorph here. And we also know that the following verb is going to be intransitive, and it simply means to enter. So we know it's the man entered. And that is the ergative absolutive alignment. That was easy, right? Piece of piss, I bet, for all you lot.